If you have a perfect strategy but poor execution, you don't win. But what's even worse is you don't even know why you didn't win. You ship a thing every day, you learn, you feed it back in. You ship the next thing, you learn, you feed it back in. You get a shot every day. Everyone is more tired than we think. Nobody wants to learn a new thing. What they want is a sense of relief. They want a sanctuary where stuff just feels like it's working for them. I ask ChatGPT for feedback all the time. So I was like, this is just going to tell me more of what I know. This is not going to be weird. It's going to be fine. And so it somehow broke through the maybe nice stuff that GPT had been telling me about myself. And it was basically
All right, welcome everyone. My guest today is Ami, former Chief Product Officer at Fair and Product Leader at WhatsApp. And I think one of my favorite newsletters is Ami's The Hard Parts of Growth. And she's written everything from how simplicity is a competitive advantage to why execution beats strategy and to how to protect your calendar for deep work. And these are all topics that I care deeply about. So yeah, really excited to talk to Ami about all this and also how she uses AI in her life. So welcome, Ami.
yeah, I appreciate it. I'm so glad we're getting a chance to hang out. It's nice to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So, this is kind of like an AI focused podcast. So I always start this question. I'm sure you've been using all these AI tools. What are some ways in which AI has helped you save time or brought some joy to your life and work? Yeah.
Joy. I like the framing of joy because I think sometimes there's so much stress and pressure to have everything figured out that it's not as joyful. I would say when I think about joy, I really like using it to help my kids do random things.
Mhm.
So one of my one of my kids loves coloring and she has very specific things she wants to color. So she'll be like, I want a half mermaid, half unicorn. And I'm like, you know what? I can do that. I can generate that. Or when she asks for things, I make sure that they're all women. So it's a lady firefighter and a lady butterfly lepidopterist, a butterfly cat, just whatever random things she wants. I subversively try to make them what I want to orient for.
Yeah.
I also one of the kind of stressful things for me is meeting new people and talking to new people. Because I think I'm pretty well trained and part of my job for a long time has been talking to people, but I'm still a very heavy introvert and I feel super awkward, especially when I'm talking to new people. And so one thing that has helped is just to do a quick AI, what do I need to know in advance? To prep every person I'm going to meet and be like, okay, what do I know about this person? What topics are they likely to be interested in? What do we have in common? And just asking for a little bit more of a guide to that person so I feel like I know them before I start a meeting with them. I don't think it actually changes too much of what we talk about, but it makes me feel calmer.
Yeah. You know the person better.
I feel like the thing I struggle with is I haven't been able to automate a bunch of those workflows.
Humans always want to be more lazy. So,
Yes. And I love being lazy.
Yeah.
I think laziness is just another word for efficiency. And
Exactly.
there's entire whole new seasons of Love Island that I haven't seen. Well, I could be doing that, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, for me that's K-dramas or something. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this. A few months ago, I posted this prompt about getting ChatGPT to share honest feedback about yourself because it kind of remembers your past conversations.
Oh no, I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm curious if you want to share what AI told you about yourself, and I can also talk about myself too.
Yeah. So you posted this prompt that was here's how to get the toughest feedback about yourself.
Yeah.
And I ask for feedback. I ask ChatGPT for feedback all the time. So I was like, this is just going to tell me more of what I know. This is not going to be weird. It's going to be fine. But the prompt was very hard hitting. It was you're my advisor, you're my manager, I'm a founder, you're an investor. It was go big, go hard. And so it somehow broke through the maybe nice stuff that GPT had been telling me about myself. And it was pretty hard. It was basically you're wasting your life. It was really the summary of what it told me. And I think the thesis was I'm taking a sabbatical. So I'm just I'm doing a lot of stuff. I travel a lot. I meet people. I write this newsletter. I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. I like got really into making pizza and I'm trying to figure out how to make it. So I'm just like, I'm doing a lot of super random stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like a good life to me. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great. This is what sabbatical is for, right?
Yeah.
But GPT is like, you're just wasting your time. You're like, you're being a
Mm.
dilettante. You're not out there building. You're not hardcore. You're letting yourself off the hook. Like, now is the time. Just like pick a thing and go hard. And I was like, I was shocked because I was like, on the one hand, that is really true. Like, that is really true. It is an amazing time. It's a great time to be a builder. It's a great time to be going hard. But also, I thought I like intentionally was kind of not doing that. You know, I was giving myself a thing and then I'm like questioning the whole thing. And finally, I was talking to my best friend who like does not work in who lives on the East Coast, does not work in tech, is like lives in a pretty different world. And I was like, oh man, like this robot on the internet like gave me some feedback and now I'm spiraling. And she was like, I mean, just like put down the internet. Like step away from your computer, go outside for a walk. Like remember that you're a human. Like don't get too caught up in this. Which was really helpful. And then kind of hilariously, I tried rerunning that prompt again pretty recently, and it told me the exact same thing. And now I don't feel so bad about it. I was like, actually, I had a great summer. I like spent a bunch of time with my family. I like learned a bunch of I feel so it's funny how like my reaction has changed.
I mean, it only has access to your past conversations. Maybe like you were just asking about work all the time, and then like
Yeah.
it got
It knows
biased that way.
everything about me though. I ask about everything. I ask it for like parenting advice. I ask it for travel. Like
Uh,
I'm it that's why I
yeah,
thought it was so hard hitting because it was so personal, you know? It
yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah,
really the life co-pilot for me.
yeah. And it's hard to get it to actually give you hard feedback because normally it wants to please you.
You
So
nice.
you have
Yeah,
to prompt
it
it too.
turns out I liked that. I didn't even realize how much I liked
Yeah.
that.
This episode is brought to you by Composio. Most of the paying and shipping AI features doesn't come from the model, but from the integrations. You're dealing with messy APIs, fragile tool calls, and hours lost to debugging, and figuring out why something broke in Slack or Salesforce. Composio gives you one SDK to connect to 800 plus apps like Slack, GitHub, Gmail, Jira, and they built the Rube.app that plugs all of those apps straight into an AI chat, so you can just ask pull me the latest metrics from Mixpanel and update linear. Now, instead of fighting with APIs, you can focus on actually shipping faster. Check it out at getrube.link/Peter or the link in the video description. Now back to the episode.
Yeah. So for me, it told me that like I had this like scarcity mindset, which is very true because my parents did have a lot of money when we were growing up. So I'm always thinking about like what could go wrong and what could go wrong, and like trying to like protect the downside. And it told me like, hey, by doing this, you are limiting your upside. So it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I had to like go back and forth with it a little bit, and like yeah, it's definitely good to check in with it like once in a while on this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like it's hard to get like neutral third party advice,
yeah,
especially for something that like knows you that much. I like asked one of the bots that I wasn't using as much for this. I like put the same prompt in there, and it
yeah.
was just like, I don't know, man. You've asked me about these like 10 things. That's not enough to build a picture. So like, tell me more about you, and then I can give you a response, which I thought was very responsible.
Yeah.
Did you like? What did you do to get through the feedback for you, the scarcity mindset, which is like a very common thing, I think, for a lot of us?
Um, I mean, it's true that like like for example, I have a job and like trying to do this creator stuff and like do all this stuff at the same time. So I actually based on like I actually went off to make a project where I actually proactively gave it a bunch of information about myself, like my life, my like what gives me energy, and now I check in with it like every quarter or whenever I have like a problem, I just check in with it, and then because I've given it so much context, it actually gives me pretty good advice most of the time. So that's been really helpful. Yeah. So we'll put the prompt in the show notes and stuff so other people can try it.
But be warned. Be
Yeah,
warned.
be warned. Be warned. Yeah. So I love how you've made one of your main things about simplicity as a competitive advantage, and it's something that I just so believe in too. And it's just like really hard to do. It's like really hard to do. And maybe you can talk about like do you have any practical tips to kind of like get people to do a simple thing first and not like overthink and overcomplicate things?
For me, it always starts with like, who are we building for, and like, what's the purpose of building something?
Yeah.
And I think like a fundamental assumption that I have about the world is just like everyone is more tired than we think. You
Yeah.
know, like everybody is like stretched, everybody's like trying to make things work. Nobody wants to learn a new thing and usually when you're building something, it's like a tool so people can do other stuff, you know? It's not like they want to spend their lives learning your thing. And so that always it always helps me to like center myself in the customer. And this was like clearest at WhatsApp where we had folks who were we started with this kind of fundamental assertion that if we could make a product that works for literally anyone in the world, it actually works better for everyone. And that was it was a weird time to be doing that because there was all this like amazing new high like very powerful technology. And so it was really tempting to just be like, oh, but the people who have that super powerful technology, they want more complexity, they want more function, they want more things. Um and really thinking, wait a minute, do they? Like, or do they just want a thing that works? Like, even for those people, what they want is like a sense of relief. Like, they want a sanctuary where stuff just feels like it's working for them and they don't have to like do extra work.
Yeah.
Um, so centering in like this core, what is the customer really trying to do? And then more tactically, just thinking like, what are the downsides if you don't do some of the things on the list? Like,
Mm.
how bad is that? Or what if you sequence them? What if you say, I am going to do them, but not until I'm all the way done with this thing? Like, how can you run the experiments to be like, maybe in some cases that's like literally just roadmap sequencing. Maybe in some cases it's like if you hit a certain threshold, then you do the other thing. Maybe in some cases it's like a portfolio where you say, 80% of our time is going to be spent on this simple thing, and the other 20% will do whatever we'll pick stuff off the top of the stack.
Yeah.
So I think like the tactics for how to build are kind of the same. It's just like thinking about the risks of overbuilding as much as you think about the risks of underbuilding.
Yeah, it's like a natural pattern where you have like a product that has product market fit, like WhatsApp, like people use it for calling and sending messages, right? And then you're like, okay, that part's done now. So let's go add some more features. Let's add like stories and like let's add all this other stuff. But in reality, like the core, I guess the core job that people hire you for can always be improved, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, exactly. Like you can make it work for more people. You can make it work more reliably. Like I think you always want that foundation of like, what is it for? And then you kind of earn the right to add some more things. I also think it's hard because like we're in this business because we like to build stuff. And so like our natural bias as like builders is always just to build more new stuff. Like that is always what you want. And you can see the like like when you build and ship something, you see it move in the numbers. You can like point to like here's new stuff that people can do today that they didn't do yesterday, but you don't have any corresponding like what's the cost of that? Like does it make them more tired? Does it make them more confused? Does it make them less likely to open this app? Like you only see one half of that equation. And so just like remembering that there's another intangible, hard to measure, like cost
yeah.
when you build stuff, I think has been just like a reminder. It's like a reminder. It's not like a magic way to think about this or make it work. It's just a reminder to think about it. And then you can choose. Like then you can just be intentional.
Do you have like an internal monologue that you have it with yourself when like you're reviewing like a product design or someone's document and you're like, okay, is this simple enough? Or do you have like some checks that you kind of ask, or even the team?
It's gonna sound so basic, but it really like can I understand from reading this like who exactly is this for? Like who exactly is this for? And like what one thing is it gonna help them do? And that sounds so basic, but the number of times that I've like asked that question to a team and gotten different responses is fascinating because it just means like everybody projects onto a product their own personal ideas, which it makes sense. That's like a normal thing to do. And so like I should be like I think simplicity is usually the right idea, but what I care even more about is clarity. And so I think the questions to ask are really about how clear are we about what we're trying to do and for whom? Because you can't have simplicity without clarity. And like clarity, so clarity is like the building block. And sometimes you can choose, like for WhatsApp, simplicity was like clearly the right way to go for our audience. For something like Facebook ads, what our customers wanted was not necessarily like abstract away all the complexity. What they wanted were like more powerful tools to like match people and their products.
Yeah.
And so there we just needed to be clear. Like we didn't need to err on the side of simplicity. We just needed to be clear. Like, here's the trade-off we're making. Here's why. Here's where we land on it. Here's what our customers say. And so I think just focusing on like kind of the super basics of like, can you within one page tell me like, who is this for? What's it going to do? What's the timeline? What are the risks? Like kind of just the same basic things every time. It's often what I like tell folks who are newer to like product, just like run that in your head over and even when it feels like it's remedial, be like, how's this going to work? What are the details? What are the pros? What are the cons? How's this going to work? What are the deal? What, just like,
Yeah.
just running that. So that's where I always like step back and I'm like, let me go back to basics. How do I think about this?
Yeah, and I remember in Lenny's podcast, you had this really good tip about communicating with execs about like, right? Like, is it lizard brain or dinosaur brain? I remember, but like, yes.
My Tori had this dinosaur brain, which sounds so bad.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be. Like, I put myself in this bucket for sure. But like the general observation is like, as you get more senior, really anyone, I think like humans can't hold that many things in their heads. But as you get more senior, you're just looking over this whole breadth of things. You can't go deep on any one of them. And so like, I imagine myself just having like a tiny little dinosaur brain and I can really only hold like 3 or 4 things in it at any given time. And so what I need my team to do is actually just like break stuff down into a way where I can say, oh, like this looks like a pattern I've seen before. Here's like what I can tell you about that pattern. Oh, here's some context that you don't know about something that's happening over there. For, like kind of the high level zoomed out stuff where I can recognize like patterns or frameworks or context that might be missing. And it really changes. It means like it's actually the team's job to just go deep on stuff because they're going to be better at that when you're talking about any given thing in a portfolio.
Yeah, because you're probably like, in back-to-back 30-minute meetings and like, you don't want to read like 5 pages each time, right? You just want to get the half page or the TRDR.
Well, it's that, and it's also that like, I will never be as close. I think that sometimes, especially when you're earlier in your career, you think that your job is just to like get all the information and then like give it to somebody who like knows better. But when you do the process of like getting that information, you actually are the one who knows better. Like you're the person who has the most information at that point. And so the best service you can do is like give your opinion as the person who has gone out to get all this stuff and like weighed the pros and cons and everything else. Because that's a way to help people engage. So it's not even just like, here's the summary of the information. It's like, here's the recommendation that I have built based on all of these reasons. Yeah. And then let's argue about whether these are the right reasons. Like that's a way to engage.
Yeah, exactly. You got to give a recommendation. You can just be like, here's 2 options and, I'll make you pick one. Yeah. No, I don't like that. It goes well. Yeah. Another tip for simplicity is on the product design. You said design interfaces that are familiar, right? And let's talk about this in the context of AI. Like I feel like ChatGPT and these chat products. I mean, I feel like the reason they got so popular is because they're just like you're just chatting with somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But it's interesting because like a lot of people are like, oh, this is like the early DOS area of AI. Like we're gonna have much better UX and like we're gonna move beyond chat. Like what are your thoughts on this? Like, do you think chat is not the
I mean, it's hard for me to believe that like 5 years from now, the cutting edge of AI is me typing into a chatbot.
Chat. Yeah.
That's like it's hard. I mean, if there will probably always be a place for that. But I do think that one of the reasons Gen AI really took off with chat is because it wrapped it in this interface that everyone felt comfortable with. And that even though like the contents of that interface, like what you get back at any time are pretty unpredictable, the way you interact with it is very predictable. Mm-hmm. So I think there's like kind of rules around like, oh, the interaction pattern should be like straightforward, but like what you get and the magic of it is going to be less predictable. I don't know what the interaction patterns are. I watch my kids a lot because I feel like kids are so unfiltered and they like kind of lowest common denominator or anything. And they just like love voice stuff, you know? Like when they were little, they would just walk up to any screen. Like there was a generation that would walk up to screens and try to swipe them because they grew up on the iPad. My kids were like a little younger than that, and they grew up just like talking to things. So they'd be, you know, they could walk up to the screen and be like, Alexa, play music or something, and just not and be wondering like why any electronic device didn't respond to them. So I feel like there's gonna be you're seeing the wearable stuff take off. I just my guess is that it's got to be something that's like less interruptive than
Yeah.
like taking your phone out of your pocket and typing something in and waiting for a response and then going back to your conversation. Like, I think it's got to be something that lives alongside that.
Yeah, my kid doesn't even know how to type yet, but she knows how to use her voice to, do
Totally.
stuff with the computer.
Totally. I mean, kids are
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to watch them. I took one of my youngest kid for his like special vacation day, wanted to just like ride trains. And so I took him on like every public transit thing around the bay. Um, and then I took him on a Waymo. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, can you believe that there's no driver in this car? And he's 4, and he was like, "That's not that's just normal." Like, of course, like, kids think whatever they see is normal. So,
Yeah.
they, like, show you how people interact with stuff when they don't have to learn it, when it just feels like, "Oh, yeah, of course that makes sense," you know?
You should be like, there's like 10 years of reinforcement learning behind this
Yeah.
making this work. Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna be the early adopter.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about AI interfaces because like it kind of breaks some of the rules that we have. Like for example, if you have a normal UX, like one rule that you follow is like, what is the main task that this UX is trying to accomplish, right? But then if you have like a chat thing that you can type in anything you want, like how do you know how do you know what the main
Totally.
task is? Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's a broad thing, and then, like, the unpredictability of the response, I just think it, like, breaks a bunch of expectations, or it I don't know. There was like maybe a hot take. I haven't really thought this through, but I feel like most of the machines that we think about are so deterministic, right? You flip the light switch, the lights go on, you like turn a door handle, the door opens. And with any kind of LLM, you like can say a thing, you can put in a query or a prompt and you get back something, and you do the same thing again and you get back something totally different. And that like unpredictability is something I think like humans are not well evolved to deal with. Uh, and so at least like my version of this is like I stopped thinking about it as a machine and I put it in the category of other things that are unpredictable, which for me are like humans. And so I feel like the very unpredictability of it reinforces that like you're basically talking to a person and you treat it like a person, you think of it like a person. And there's so many signals that kind of point in the direction of like that's how this interaction model is going to go. I'm kind of curious. This is all just random bad pop psychology that I think about in the middle of the night. I'm kind of curious if that very like unpredictability is part of what makes you interact with it that way.
yeah, like part of the fun is like seeing what's capable of, or like trying different use cases and seeing what comes back. So yeah,
Or you ask it like the exact same work question. It might give you two different answers, back to back. Like even when you're not exploring, you're just like literally thinking of something you're trying to do.
I mean, yeah, I've gotten in a habit where like I just load like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, and I ask them
Yeah.
all the same question.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally. You're like
so
constantly evaluating what's giving me the better answer like right now.
yeah, yeah. Let's move on to another one of your, amazing. I feel like you say a lot of what's on my mind. So like, yeah, like you also wrote this article about execution eating strategy for breakfast, right? And it always bothered me that like execution is like this kind of like junior PM thing, and then like as you become more senior, you're like this the strategist.
Yeah.
but what do you mean by tell me more about this execution eating strategy for breakfast?
Yeah, I mean I spent a lot of time at Meta, and this is a big like meta learning. Which is if you have like a if you have a perfect strategy but poor execution, you don't win, you know? And what's even worse is like, you don't even know why you didn't win. Was it because your strategy was not the right strategy, or was it because your execution was not good? So you've like wasted time and you've learned nothing. Whereas like when you have an okay strategy and like great execution, you know that your execution was not at fault. And so all you have to do is take the learnings from that execution and like put them back in the strategy and keep improving the strategy and use the execution machine to actually get to the thing that is going to work. And so I love it because it like, I think sometimes when you're over focused on strategy, you like have to think for years to get the exact right strategy. And then you have one shot to build it. And then at the end of it, like you took one shot in like years. Whereas with execution, you get a shot every day. You know, like you ship a thing every day, you learn, you feed it back in, you ship the next thing, you learn, you feed it back in. And it just makes it much more accessible to try to build things because you don't have the pressure of it being like perfect. Like I've talked to companies that try to map out like what's going to be the second and third order effect of this in 3 years. And you're like, that's not a problem that we want to tackle right now. Like, let's be lucky enough to have this be successful today.
Yeah.
And then we can like focus on what's going to happen next, you know? And so I find it very freeing. I just like, I find it very liberating to focus on that.
Yeah. And to me, like a strategy is just like a very high level, like one pager. I guess there's like, the Tesla master plan, some of these other strategy documents floating around, but like, it's not like trying to lay out exactly what we're going to build like 2 years from now. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about like minimum viable strategy. You
Yeah.
know, like when I think about some of the big events that like actually impacted what we work on, they're not things you could think of in a strategy. Like, I don't know, when the iPhone launched, which I'm old enough to remember working during, but like any mobile strategy that you had in 2006 was obsolete, or like during the pandemic, any like strategy you had at the end of 2019 was obsolete. Like there's so many things where like there's just an event and then it makes your strategy that you've worked so hard on and spent so much time, it just makes it totally obsolete because there's always going to be interesting left field stuff. And so I think what helps is just the basic, like, who's our customer? What are we going to build for them? Why are we likely to win? What are the risks? Like, kind of just that basic, which general direction are we heading? And then we can refine, like, our compass direction as we get more information as the world changes.
Yeah. Just like the kernel of those answers. And then you can always
Yeah.
update it as you learn
Yeah,
more.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how does that reflect? Because you worked at Meta, these large organizations, and also at Fair, which I think is smaller, right? But still, like, and I just noticed like a lot of companies do this like annual planning stuff, and like it takes like a whole month or longer, and then they have all these reviews, and then they have this document, this like great document that they put together, and this sits on a shelf, and people don't touch it anymore. And you have another great point about like how the best strategy actually changes the team's day-to-day behavior. So how do you like shortcut this planning thing, or maybe like make sure that actually impacts the day to day?
I think there's sometimes just like a kind of reflexive, well, we need to do an annual plan that takes 6 weeks and we need to like shut everything down and take 6 weeks and like really think about our annual plan.
Yeah,
We
think
have
hard.
to do that every year, no matter what. Or like we need to take a whole month every quarter and do a quarterly plan, and we have to because that's how we know we're on the right track. I think I sometimes question, like, do we really need to? Like, has something changed since the last time that we did this that we need to look at it with fresh eyes? Or are we on like a pretty good path? The stuff that we said was going to happen continues to happen. Should we postpone like a big, I don't know, like rethink the world until we have a trigger that suggests that, you know? And so even starting by asking that question, like, what do we expect to change as a result of this? Like, you would never take an action. You would never spend your time on something if you didn't think it would have an impact. And so just like pulling that question up front and being like, wait, what do you think is going to change if we spend 6 weeks doing this? What do you think is not working today? What do you think we're missing? Maybe just being more surgical about that.
Okay.
Or just keeping it as lightweight as possible and saying, okay, like, these are our targets. These are the metrics we're going to focus on. I can't tell you right now exactly how we're going to do them. Like, here's our top ideas. These will take like at least the next 3 months, we'll pursue these and then we'll come back to you because we'll have more information after these work. I think just like stepping back from the expectation that everything has to be rigid is really helpful, and just like starting to
Yeah.
rethink the assumption.
Yeah, and like kind of just being honest that, like I have no idea what's gonna happen a year from now.
Totally. Which is
Like,
we're living in such an unpredictable time.
yeah.
Like when I try to think about the future, it feels really foolish. Like we're grasping at straws. I don't like anything could happen.
Yeah, like I feel like like some of these career ladders, like are like if you're a VP, then you know what's going to happen 2 years from now. I'm like, come on, like is this really true?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's be honest here. Yeah,
So I think it's good to just acknowledge. I feel like a lot of what I try to do is just acknowledge how messy reality is, and
that's
like
right.
how messy it is to build products. So none of this stuff is like 100% anyone knows what they're talking about. I certainly don't know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about, but these are just like the patterns that I've noticed. Is the more you can be like, I don't know, here's like what we think are the 3 most likely outcomes. Here's the metric and customer we're going to focus on no matter what. Here's the things we think are no regret. Let's just go and we'll talk to you later. I think the more we can do that, the easier it is for everyone.
that makes sense. Yeah, and last question on this topic, like for the individual contributor PMs or people who are just doing the work, like sometimes you have to wait a long time to get a VP's feedback. Like you have to schedule a meeting and like gotta wait like a month. And like I feel like in this AI era, it's not really acceptable to like wait that long. Like you gotta move faster. So how do you have any tips for like short circuiting this stuff, or have PMs done that with you that have been effective?
Yeah. I mean, I hope that happens less and less. I mean, I think I would start with like, is it possible to agree on like how you're going to operate? Like, what do you actually need approval for? Is it possible to agree, like, whenever you do go for a review, to be like, hey, is it cool if we don't come back for things that look like this and just like carry this decision forward? Or like, hey, these are the principles. If it touches less than X% of the user base, we're just going to go for it, and we'll give it like a week-long time period, and then we'll let you know if something else weird happens and we'll roll it back. Like,
Yeah.
you agree upfront on the kind of protocol that you'll use, and then you don't even have to get approval. You just like can just go and like make decisions. I feel like that's way more empowering, and also like you're more likely to be successful because you just move a lot faster, and the team is happy because you don't have to like be a holding pattern mode. And then I think if you want to like try to change the org around that, I think like just pointing that out that it seems to be taking a while, because sometimes people don't have visibility in how long it takes someone to be able to come and talk to them. And instead being like, hey, could we switch to like office hours? Instead of having like stated reviews for everything, could you just hold like an hour every afternoon? And anyone who wants to talk to you just comes and like talks to you then. And then you get all the decisions done with a minimum of like, or a maximum of 24 hours, like being willing to just like highlight that something is holding you up or not working, and then just suggesting a like casual, simple solution. I think like most people are super happy to be casual. You could just ask them on Slack. You could just be like, hey, we're having this thing. Can we just do this? And we'll roll it back if it doesn't work. Yes or no. Otherwise, we'll come see you. But it seems like we can't see you for a month. So maybe, is there any way we could just see you tomorrow if you really want to see I think
Yeah.
sometimes people don't have visibility.
Yeah, sometimes I actually get more annoyed if like someone waits like a month to come to me, and then
Totally.
they have like a super polished document that's completely in the wrong direction.
Totally.
That's actually worse.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
I do have like a weird internal reaction when I feel like somebody has overbuilt the doc, because I'm like, oh, you could have spent that time on the product, like just like draw it on a whiteboard, take a picture of a whiteboard, like that's fine, so I think just remembering that like everyone's incentives here are supposed to be aligned to like get stuff to the customer faster. And if you feel like they're not aligned at some point, there just might be something else happening in the system. There might be some friction in the org. There might be some unnecessary, like just question those,
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I love the point about getting stuff to the customer, because yeah, I mean, like, all the internal artifacts, the customers don't see it at all. So like,
they don't care. They don't care about
They
your
don't care,
strategy deck. They don't care about your review. They don't care. Like, Customers
Yeah.
only care about the product that's in their hands. And so everything has to be built around what can we get into people's hands faster and better. And so anything that stands in the way of that, whether it's like interpersonal stuff or intra-team stuff or like whatever, like all that stuff is friction. And everyone should be incentivized to reduce that friction. It's just not what comes up, in your head first. And so whenever you see it, you can do like a huge service by just like cutting it down, calling it out, saying, hey, this is not actually serving the customer.
I love that. I love that. And also when it comes to managing your calendar, right? Like I love that you actually make time to talk to customers. I think like every Friday or something, you try to make some time.
I try, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like so easy to just get wrapped up in like internal meetings and alignment and all that kind of stuff.
It's hard. Like, there's so many distractions. Like, you're really, when you like zoom all the way out, your job is to build stuff from the customer for the customer. And so, like, spending an hour every week on like, I don't know, reading customer support tickets or watching hotjar recordings or like reading Reddit review, like whatever it is that you do, it doesn't seem like it seems like it's a totally reasonable investment to just like do that. But then when you get to it, you're like, oh, but there's all these people I could talk to. There's all this urgent stuff, like all these internal people I could talk to, my team. There's urgent stuff. I should respond to my emails. And it's so fun to do those things because the feedback loop is so much faster. Like you send a Slack and you get like a Slack back, or you see someone in the hall and they're like, thanks for that thing. And so it feels like it's more urgent and high ROI. But like when you step back, the customer stuff is like the highest ROI. Like that's how you know what to build.
Yeah, I think as a leader, you gotta create the right culture because like internal stuff. I mean, the customers aren't writing your performance reviews, so I guess you have to set the right culture of like like we actually care about what's shipping to customers. Like that's the
Yeah. And
yeah
I mean, hopefully on a medium length time frame, the customers are kind of writing your review. Like either your product works or it doesn't.
yeah if they use it or
And
not. Yeah.
that should have an impact on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
review. It just there might be like one layer of abstraction, but hopefully like not a lot more.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for like, because like I see these meetings pop up on my calendar, and then like I kind of feel bad saying no to people. Like, do you have any tips to protect your time the right way?
Yeah, I think like what's tempting is to like look at everything that's coming in like one by one and be like, oh, could I say yes or no to this one thing? And then you do this extremely hard work of looking at your week calendar and maybe you've declined 2 things and you feel guilty about them. And then you haven't really retrieved any time. Like you're still jumping in between meetings.
Yeah.
What has helped me is to just figure out, instead of what I'm saying no to, figure out like 1 or 2 big things I'm saying yes to. Like, what is the one thing I have to get done this week? And then just like really blocking space and clearing my calendar for that. And I found that people, as long as you give them a reason why you're not talking to them, people are much happier. So it's like I feel much less guilty, and people are way happier when I respond. I'm like, hey, I'm 100% focused on diving deep into this one area, or I'm 100% focused on roadmap planning right now. Can we talk about this in a month if it's still relevant? Otherwise, like, here's a document, And then most people are super happy to just be like, oh, okay, cool. I guess you have other stuff. Now I know your priority. I realize you're not being mean to me personally. You're just being your priorities. So just remove some of the like emotion and guilt. And then I also I try every Monday to just like write out what I need to get done that week. And then I just like go through and block on my calendar when I'm going to do it. And that naturally pushes a bunch of other stuff off. And you have to be like, well, is that more important? Probably not.
Yeah.
And so you don't do that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to make your calendar a to-do list. Otherwise people just fill in the slots for you.
Yeah. The only time you have, the only currency you have is time,
Yeah.
And so your calendar has to match your goals. Otherwise you have no chance to actually meet your goals. And so like when you think about it as starkly as like, do I actually want to get any of the stuff done that I said I was going to get? Like, if I want to get stuff done, I have to be booking time for it because there's no other. It's not. Otherwise, it just won't happen. And there are limits to space time, so sometimes that has to fall off. Like that's just a law of physics, right?
And I think as parents, like there's limits to our energy too. Like I
Totally.
need to do all my deep work in the morning because I become really dumb in
Me
the
too.
afternoon. Like,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. I used to be like earlier in my life, I could like stay up late and be useful. And now, like after I've like sung the same song to the little kids over and over 100 times, I just like I can't. I'm not gonna be at my best. I like have to
Yeah.
wake up early. And so just really noticing like when I'm gonna be smartest and like planning around that has also been really helpful.
Yeah, I come home from work at like 5 or 6, and then my kids play like they're into K-pop Demon Hunters right now. So they play that song like 10 times, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day. I can't I can't take anymore. Yeah. So if you were to take another like CPO job, uh, what kind of PMs are you gonna be looking for? Or what kind of people are you gonna be looking to hire in this new world? Yeah.
I mean, my observation is that like we're kind of going back to what I think the PM function looked like maybe 15 years ago. I think we went through this period of like specialization where um the functions got really specialized, like engineering design and PM. Those like functions got hardened. But then even inside PM, you could like specialize a little bit and be like, here's the thing I focus on, here's the specific style that I like operate in. And I just think a bunch of those boundaries will disappear. And it'll just be like, okay, who is kind of a do-it-all, do-it-yourself utility player? Like, who's going to be like, I have an idea. I'm going to like run a prototype. I'm going to like quickly put together like a basic market analysis. I'm going to mock up like what a go-to-market would look like. And I have all the tools I need to do it.
To make it happen, yeah.
And then just go and see where you get stuck. And I do think that's how that feels a lot like how the industry was a long time ago when I was earlier in my career. Just because we didn't have that many people. And so if you wanted to be successful, you just kind of had to like believe a thing and then like get it done. And you didn't have to think too much about, is this my job or someone else's job? Does this fit within my function requirements? Like, I think the less we think about optimizing like what the PM job is, and the more we think about what's going to get this product into someone's hands and what is anything that I need to do to get it done, and let me just go do that. That's who I think is just going to be more successful, is the people who are just going to be like, yeah, I know I have a hypothesis. I'm just going to go try everything to see if that hypothesis is true, and then we can productionize it.
I mean, that's kind of what happens in startups, right? I mean, they don't have enough people
Totally.
to.
When you
Yeah,
don't have enough people, you just turn into a jack of all trades, right? And that can be really fun too.
yeah. And it's interesting because like normally the jack of all trades that start like the first PM at a startup, like they either grow with the startup or they have to like hire senior management or something. But maybe now there's like a longer, I don't know, for lack of a better word, shelf life for the jack of all trades. Like,
I do think that like the skills that we're going to value are shifting. I think we will value ICs more and more. Like we'll just need less management because I think teams will be smaller. And I think we're going to need more doers who recognize that like the playbooks, like there's going to be very few, I think, copy and paste playbooks that work. And so you don't need like a domain expert. You don't need a professional who's done this and can just like plug in the thing that they did at the last job. Like it's every like 3 or 6 months is a whole new world. It's like a whole new chapter. And so you kind of have to like maybe have some experience, but also really be willing to think from first principles about like the way things work right now. And so I think in many ways it like levels the playing field, and
yeah,
it's scary. It's scary. And it's especially scary for like, I've built my expertise in a particular dimension, and now I don't know if that is still going to be as valued. I think that's true for a lot of people.
you gotta like even old people like me, I need to keep learning. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. So
we
that's
got to keep learning.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting. I'm curious what's gonna happen to like the really big companies like a Meta, like because I think the startups these days are probably not gonna want to get as big as in the past. But even at Meta, like Zuck has like this super intelligence team now that has like what 50 people or something. So even at big companies, they want these small, high talent density teams, right? That's kind of what people want.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's like a very unpredictable time, and unpredictability is so scary, especially when you're talking about like, this is everyone's job. This is like what we have built an identity around. This is like, I mean, it has real impact. And I think that's some of what you feel is just like people being unsettled.
Well, I always believe that you should not build your identity only around a job.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I mean, that is, it's so true, and yet it's hard. It's like,
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
it's really hard. It's really hard.
And last question, Ami, do you have any like how old are your kids?
They're
You have three, right?
9, 6, and 4.
Okay. So they're like right in the middle of this whole thing, right? And like I think by the time they go to college, or if there's even a college, like the world will
Yeah.
be very different. Yeah.
It will be really different.
Like what kind of principles are you trying to teach them to kind of get comfortable with this ambiguity? You know?
I don't know.
You know?
Like, I think about, I mean, I treat the AI stuff the way I treat other technology, which is like, they use it at school. They're allowed to use some of it under supervision. So like we were just traveling and my 9-year-old like was in charge of researching all the places that we should go and stuff like that, using GPT and other things. And so he would just sit next to me and like I would kind of get to see what he's doing out of the corner of my eye. And I think like, I guess the things I'm worried about are where they don't have a chance to like be resilient because everything is like so easy and the agents are so nice to them. Because like I fall into that trap. As we were talking about with the feedback, like I fall into the trap of the agents are so nice to me and I don't even notice. And I think it's like true, you know, like they're even more susceptible to that. And so just like trying to also continue to put them in like real world situations that are a little bit challenging, you know, like go walk to that place by yourself, go talk to this kid and invite them, you know, like just reminding them of like how to be a human kid.
Yeah.
And then honestly, some of it is just like going easy on myself, which ChatGPT tells me I shouldn't do. That's part of how that's part of feedback is I go too easy on myself. But like we don't know, you know. Like I know the experience I had growing up, it's gonna be very different. I had different problems. My kids are gonna have totally different problems. They're gonna have totally different technologies. They're not gonna have 0 problems, and I'm not gonna be 100% right. And so just like knowing that and giving myself like, they're all going to have some problems. I can try to like be a good model. I can try to help in the best way I know how, but I can't optimize for I'm 100% right about what they should do in this very unpredictable time. So we have to see how things go.
Yeah, it's probably just like for me, I want to teach them like, you know, curiosity. I want to teach them to be resilient. To kind of like follow their own, you know, passions, try to figure out what they want to do, and that's pretty much all we can do, you know.
Yeah. You can try to keep planting those seeds, but like, who knows? And that's okay. That's okay. That's like, that's how we live.
Yeah, cool. You're gonna keep writing, right? So where can people find your newsletter?
I'm at Vora.substack.com. I read a newsletter called The Hard Parts of Growth. It's all about kind of how normal it is for growth and product and leadership and trying new things, how normal it is for that to be hard.
Yeah, and I love the illustrations that you do. Maybe you can outsource that to your kids, but you know, it's great. Yeah.
I people always ask me like if my kids do those illustrations, and actually it's just me. It's me, and I've had years of practice, and I'm still that organic. I'm still that organic. How about that? I'm not going to use any words of judgment.
Yeah, no, it's still very human. It's not like
human slash terrible. Even my kids think they're terrible when they see me like doodling one of those. They're like, "What are you doing? Like, do you want me to help you?" You know.
Oh, really?
It's all fine. It's all fine.
Yeah. Can I add some unicorns to this, or you know? Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm so glad we were able to connect, and hopefully people get a ton of value from this episode.
Thank you so much. It was nice to see you as always. Take care.
Cool, Ami. Yeah, take care.
Bye.